What is real wealth? And can you have real wealth mean more than just investing? Is it more than just passive income? Could it be something much more? Could it even be the quality of life? That's what we're going to talk about today with our return guest, Krisstina Wise. Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. This show is for you. You've worked so hard for that money, and you're now ready for that money to start working harder for you today. You want to become work optional, where you work because you want to, not because you have to, because you have enough passive income coming in to cover all of your family's necessities and needs. And yet you want that free lifestyle, not just to get rich, but you want to live a rich life because as you're blessed financially, as you have greater prosperity, you can now bless the lives of those around you. Thank you for allowing me to create that ripple effect through you. For all of you that have been so faithful, many of you have been watching or really listening to this show at least 10 years. I know we're going on over 11 years now. So thank you so much for tuning in and for being such faithful listeners. As a reminder, if you're wanting to go deeper down the rabbit hole, you want your life to go from listening to a podcast to actually changing in real life, reach out to us at moneyripples.com. Whether you're trying to find out more about the Freedom Fund or Max ROI Infinite Banking, or you want just more passive income, go check out more information there today. Okay, guys. So as I mentioned, I'm bringing back Krisstina Wise, and always a favorite on our show, especially because she is like, as I mentioned before, if you guys haven't heard her previous interview, I definitely recommend going back. But to me, she is like the abundant-minded version of a cooler version of Dave Ramsey, but so much more than that. I mean, Krisstina now has proven in her own life becoming financially free in real estate and everything else. She also has the Wealthy podcast that you guys should definitely check out as well. But I have an exciting announcement to talk about because there is a live event that she is doing that I'm also going to be a part of as well, that you will definitely want to learn more about, especially if you want to become more wealthy, not just financially, but also in all aspects of your life. That's something we're going to talk about today. So, Krisstina, welcome back.
Oh, so happy to be back. I love our conversations, Chris.
Yeah, so remind our guests, because I know some of them are new, some of them, may not remember from what was it, maybe last year when we did our podcast together. Tell us more about you and your story, because your story is fascinating. You were like the story that I think a lot of our listeners want to have become their story too.
There's so many elements to my story, but especially when you reach my age in my 50s now, there's a lot of stories. So I think the story that's most relevant, a part of my story that's most relevant to what we're going to talk about today is that, I always share I started in a trailer home. And it wasn't a double wide trailer home. It was like a travel size trailer home and single wide. I don't know how many feet, but not big. And that's where I started.
Mhm.
And my parents were both alcoholics. I think my mom probably smoked when I was pregnant. There's a lot of trauma. No wonder my brain is really slow. No, but lots of trauma, alcoholism, abuse, like verbal abuse, that type of thing. And
Mhm.
that was the household I grew up in.
Mhm.
And but just really impoverished. And I really believe in that so much of our life experience is based on our environment. It's like who's around us. And then we get trapped there until we decide one day that this isn't my identity, this isn't who I am, or it's not where or what I want to be, and I want to choose something else for myself. But that's where it all started. So when it comes to money, if we full circle or jump ahead
Mhm.
to where I am today, teaching kind of wealth and financial abundance and prosperity, it's a real juxtaposition from where I started to where I am. And the reason why I share that is that for most of my adult life, I was really ashamed of where I started. And I
Mhm.
did so much work to escape my childhood by basically burying it, ignoring it, putting it way back in my rearview mirror and just plowing ahead with as much velocity and success and achievement and momentum as possible. And what I didn't realize for most of that time is that I thought I'd left my past off the back of the bus, but I was really just living my past. And the way I was doing that was I was searching for, I was abandoned, just like abandonment. And my parents never came to a game or anything, even though I was like a super athlete and straight A student. My
Hmm.
parents were completely absent.
Mm.
And so what I was doing when I was chasing the success and chasing fame and achieved all that was that I was trying to still get my parents' attention. And even
Mm.
into adulthood, they didn't care. They had their own lives that they were trying to figure out.
Mhm.
And, now my late father, we left on good terms, and my mother and I are now on good terms. But it took us 40 years probably to get there. But the point is that so much of my life had been trying to get somewhere that was far from my past, but
Mm.
it was never good enough. I never had enough money. I never had enough fame. I never had enough success. I was never happy. I was never unhappy. I just was trying to get to that next rung,
Mm.
thinking out there in the future when I hit some number or some level then I could relax and be happy or something, something,
Yeah.
without realizing that I was just kind of living out my past in a different form. So that's where it all started. And I had a lot of success. I hit all of my numbers. And right at the moment I did that, I cracked. I got um, I got heavy metal poisoning and mold poisoning.
Mm.
On top of all my stress, I had a stress stroke and I just cracked. I
Wow.
cracked emotionally, I cracked physically, and I just broke apart. So here I was at the top of my career. I was making over $1 million a year household income. I was building my wealth, meaning having assets. I was super famous in my industry. I was a household name. I was the poster girl for everything in my industry. I was the highest paid keynote speaker, for example. It looked on the outside like perfection,
Hmm.
wealth and success. On the inside, I was breaking.
Yeah.
So that whole story, it took me a year and a half to basically get my brain back. I lost my brain. The stroke killed my brain. So I had
Mm.
to work on getting my brain. I had to get my body rid of heavy metals and mold. I had to fix my psychology because all that trauma actually took me out psychologically as well to a place where I had to wear like a heart rate monitor. I'd never had a panic attack in my life, and all of a sudden I would have panic attack after panic attack and couldn't stop them.
Mm.
So it's just this crazy time of this trying so hard for success and thinking that wealth was success. The richer I
Mhm.
was, that was meaning. That's what success, that was the example. But my family was breaking apart, my body was breaking apart, my partnerships were breaking apart, and I didn't even know it. So
Mm.
today, once I broke all that, what I did is that I traded my health and my relationships for wealth and money. And then I used all my wealth and money to repair my health and my relationships. And now I teach a way to live life that, yes, we have to care about the money and we have to build wealth uh, that usually comes, from some form of success. Like wealth is a byproduct of success in many categories. But to do it in a way that's not chasing more, to do it in a way that's not chasing the accolades, the trophy, the look at me
Mm.
now, the fame, meaning chasing it for ego reasons so that we can wear the fancy watch on our wrist or drive the fancy car, which all of that is external,
Mhm.
meaning we're working to grow money, our income and wealth because we want to be seen a certain way, which is really shallow and doesn't create fulfillment, is what I've learned. But to create money and wealth for time freedom, for to have more time for relationships, to have more money to invest in ourselves and to invest in others. Like you said, to be good stewards of our money and wealth, because the more prosperity we have, the more we can create from others. And what I can tell you now from my own personal experience, and I know, Chris, you're in the same place, is there's so much more reward to be able to use my prosperity to help others than create prosperity to have the light just shining on me because I was so famous and important. Like that was really shallow and broke apart, but now when prosperity can really be used to, for family and legacy and philanthropy, man, it's just fulfillment to the T. So That's a lot of story, probably more than you were asking for, but I certainly added some there that I didn't talk about the last time.
No, I mean, really what you're talking about is true wealth. I mean, that's really what it is because many people get hyper focused on the money part thinking that'll solve everything, but it's not. It's not everything, right? It's one aspect of so many other aspects too. And like in your case, without the health, there was no wealth to really enjoy, right?
Yeah, and even, when I just say I cracked, that I had a lot of money.
Hmm.
Now, I went through that money really fast when I couldn't make an income and when my business broke apart because I wasn't leading it and because I was draining all of the financial resources to try to buy my health back. But, when it first happened, I had a lot of money. I had a lot of income. I had assets. And what I can tell you with all of that money, that is certainly top percent income and wealth if we look at the averages,
Hmm.
that it didn't matter. I was terrified every day of dying. I was having panic attacks on a regular basis. I was like depressed. I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't think and use my brain to be able to figure out how to open the front door to take a walk. So here was all this financial resource that I had worked 20 years
Hmm.
to, everything I got, burning the candle at both ends and hit the pinnacle of success for, my industry and what I was doing.
Yeah.
And none of it mattered. The only thing that I cared about when I was going through this year and a half, I didn't care about the money one iota. I swear to God, I didn't care about all the clothes in my closet. I didn't care about my bags. I didn't care about my shoes. I didn't care about my cars. I didn't care about my big house. I didn't care about all the shiny objects that I had. Not 1%, zero. I cared zero.
Hmm.
All of it that was existing everywhere around me. All I wanted was my health back, and all I felt was horrific remorse and regret that I'd missed my life and I'd
Hmm.
sacrificed my family and all these things just in the constant chase and never ever being able to be satisfied. And that's what I was sitting with, suffering. Talk about suffering. And so I
Hmm.
was suffering on a day-to-day basis with regret and remorse, even though I had money, in every corner of my life. So, I
Yeah.
just lived that experience that we kind of know it to be true, but we're kind of not really living our life like it is true. And I'm just saying that I experienced it. And it's truth. It's that when you're in that place of life or death, you really don't care about the money.
That's right. It's so
But the money
true. And
matters. Now, I always say the juxtaposition to that
mhm.
is that at the same time, if I didn't have money and I hadn't have been, meaning if I just spent all my money and I wouldn't have built assets that I could actually, that paid me some passive income during this time when my income was continuing to deteriorate and was able to sell assets that was able to contribute to the $500,000 it cost me to save my life, like no joke,
Right.
that if I didn't have that money, I wouldn't be here today. So
So
it's this
true.
both and like, yeah, these other things matter, but money does too. But it can't just be about the money. The money is just a byproduct of success and stewardship and these different, aspects of our relationship to money and how we manage it, and then the place it holds in our life. And versus chasing it and thinking money solves problems, it's just money just underwrites the cost of what we determine is a good life for ourselves. And then how much does it cost to live it?
That's right. It's so true. I've seen both extremes, right? I've seen some people hyper focus on the money and the success that should come with that, should, but it never does. Um, they hyper focus there, thinking that will solve all problems, which isn't true. But I've also seen people in health and wellness space hyper focus on health and wellness, saying, and then they'll reject money. And then that doesn't work either, right? Because I've learned, especially the more wealthy I've become, like health, like focusing on health, you need the money to help really, especially in today's world, everything is poisoning you. Like you live a normal, average American life, you will die sooner, period. Just because of how things are, no matter how healthy you think you are, there are so many things out there that are really lies that are taught in the health and wellness space, and I'm not saying all of it because I know you have a whole health and wellness aspect of your event that you're focusing on too. I'd also add as well that you brought this up earlier that kind of goes on with this is that, like me, like I also spent 5 years in a trailer park. When my parents divorced, my mom obviously moved in. Now we were the rich people, quote unquote. We had the double wide. We didn't have the single wide travel trailer like you
I would
had.
have envied your situation. Exactly.
I know. There were people in my neighborhood that did have that single wide travel trailer, right? We had the double wide manufactured home. I think it was the rent was like a whopping $300 a month or something like that. I don't remember, but any case, but I remember being in that neighborhood and there was not great people I was surrounded by either, right? Like there was a very different mindset there. And I remember towards the end, about the time I moved in back in with my dad, and he was in a normal, average neighborhood, nothing special. But I remember I was still hanging out with that crowd. And there was a point where my mom, who wasn't often trying to give me like a lot of motherly advice, she kind of lovingly just said, she's like, Chris, you should stop hanging out with those kids. Like she never ever said don't hang out with anybody, but she's like, you should not be hanging out with them. You need better friends. And so I did. And I wonder, especially after I came back from a 30-year reunion just recently, I kind of wonder like what would have happened to my life if I did stay there mentally and emotionally in the trailer park. If I hadn't left that, would I have had a very different life? Would I have been on addicted to alcohol and drugs and things like that, like a lot of them are. Some of them are in prison, right? Would I've had that kind of life or would I've been where I am today? And I think that's one thing that's so important. Why I know you're putting on this event is because it's not just about trying to learn about money and learn about how to have better wellness so that you have wealth in all ways. But I think also those relationships, surrounding yourself with the right people, that can elevate the conversation, that can elevate your results too.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I love that sharing that story, Chris. And it's a good example of, I mean, we all know that, if we're in an aquarium, we're in the same water as the other fish in that
Mhm.
contained environment. So we're all exposed to the same things every single day in that contained environment. So what is inside that contained environment is really important because that's what we're exposed to, and that's what we couple with, that's what we converse with, that's what we engage with. And that's all there is because we all have a container around us one way or another.
If you've been following this podcast, you're probably looking for great ways to create passive income right now, right? Well, we got you covered here with Central Lending. Central Lending specializes in alternative investments that actually are designed to create steady returns and long-term financial security for you and your family. Now, they prioritize transparency. They love, building those strong relationships, giving you that confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you have your money working harder for you, so you don't have to work so hard for that money. You want to learn more how to do that? Go to centrallending.com and check out what they've got today to create your passive income and wealth creation right now. Mm-hmm.
So, so that container that you grew up with, and where, so many people I grew up with also, is 12 years in a teeny tiny town, is that same thing. They stayed there and their lives kind of remained in that environment. And nothing wrong with that necessarily, but that it's just a good example of if I would have stayed there, would you have the success? Would you have the wealth? Would you have the relationships? Would you have the fulfillment? Would you have the wellness? And the answer is probably not. So it kind of, let's say it's even though it's true, it's more of an extreme example. And mine's pretty extreme too. Like I've come a long way from where I started to where I am today, like you. So it's very, different environments by a long shot.
Yeah.
But the same thing applies that we all still have that container and we're stuck. So I work with a lot of people, and I think you do too, where they come to me like, I'm just stuck. I'm stuck financially, I'm stuck emotionally, I'm
Mhm.
stuck kind of physically, like in all these categories. And I'm kind of losing, I'm middle-aged, I'm just kind of losing that zest for life. And no matter if I pedal faster, I'm just not getting anywhere. And now I'm getting more discouraged. And, I just feel like, what's the point? Not, in some form or fashion. And I say a lot of that is because what the reason why is because today looks exactly like yesterday, looks exactly like the day before that, and looks exactly the day before that. Like we're not exposing ourselves to that next version of how do I get out of this version of my trailer park because I'm
Mhm.
so kind of established here. how do I aspire to be in that next place, that next environment where it's different, where it's novel, where the conversations are different, where the people are different, where the mindset maybe is more expanded, even though, our mindset's expanded far different than the trailer park, it doesn't mean that we have to stop here. So to
Mhm.
your point, the reason why you and I are doing this event is because, especially, since, everything's gone online, it's gotten really easy to kind of get lazy behind the computer since we can meet on a computer and not get together and missing this face to face, up close and personal, being in this container, this environment, this aquarium where it's going to blow your mind. It's like, whoa, this feels so amazing. Because like for 2.5 days straight, I'm in a different conversation. Like I'm on a different planet. This is so exciting. And it's
Mhm.
that type of energy then can fuel that next level of motivation, that next level of momentum, that next level of excitement that's needed. It's like that injection that we get to that is the quick way to get out of the rut, to get out of
Right.
that stuckness, because otherwise, doing the same thing the different day isn't going to change that feeling of status quo.
Yeah, that's so true. That's the one thing I think is the good and the bad of Zoom, right? Like when you have Zoom or even like these podcasts, you have access to so much free information, so many things. But the problem is, even if you have all that knowledge, if you're stuck in that same container with we're surrounded by the same people, you're not going to break those habits. I mean, you could, but it's going to take a lot longer than if you get out of that environment into that new aquarium, as you said, right? And you get into this whole new aspect. You get to taste it and have a flavor of that. You just realize this is different. And sometimes you can bring that back with you to the old container. It's hard, sometimes you have to go back in, back and forth, which is why, same reason why I will go to live events for that very reason. But it's something you can bring back with you and change your world as a result of it.
Well, all the people that I know that are the most successful people I know,
Mhm.
including you, we're at events all the time.
Yeah.
So that's not by accident that the most successful people I know and that, are doing the best financially
Hmm.
are attending the most events.
That's right.
So there's got to be some cause and effect there. I don't think it's circumstantial.
Mhm.
It's, there's a cost to it. You have to leave your house, which is really convenient. You have to buy a plane ticket. You have to buy a hotel room. You have to take time away from the office, and there's a cost to it. But I think people are so, even in this Dave Ramsey world, people are being so conditioned by the Dave Ramsey message
Hmm.
that it's like, just work hard, pay your bills, stay out of debt,
Put your
be a
head
good
down. Don't
person,
think.
do your head down, put your head down, don't think, don't take any type of risks.
Hmm.
Don't, if it's not in your budget, certainly don't go invest in yourself and take a trip that's going to cost you some money. So it's not a bad message, meaning it's a good message in the sense of like a starting place, but you're never going to get rich and wealthy and be work optional and have resources and abundance and true financial freedom doing the Dave Ramsey model. You have to invest. So the difference between wealthy people and everyone else is we understand this thing called investing. So, and we invest. And there's different type, but it's understanding what investing is. Investing means parting with your hard-earned money. You're parting with it. You're not spending it on groceries. You're not spending it on bills. You're not spending it on a car. You're not spending it on vacations. You're not spending it on the kiddos. You're not spending this hard-earned money. You're using a part, you're not, the money you're not spending on all these things, you're using it and you're actually spending it
Hmm.
to buy something different, but you're buying something that is meant to create a return. So when you pay your bills, you're not getting a return back on that investment. You're getting maybe some privilege, like your utilities stay on and you get to drive a car, but you're not getting a return on the money, meaning that money is not making you more money in some
Right.
form or fashion. And that's what wealthy people do. It's a different way to think. And if you think different, you approach life different. And
Right.
that's what wealth is that we take a part of our hard-earned money and we invest it somewhere with the intention it's going to create more money. And that's it. If we simplify, if we distill it all the way down to the difference between those that have wealth and everybody else, that's it. So you look through this lens of difference between expenses and investments. They're expenses. It just costs money to live and survive and the things. And those are bills and expenses and all the stuff.
Hmm.
But outside of that, expenses and then saving some money over there, however you save it. Everything else is looking at how you spend your money in terms of investing it.
Hmm.
And you invest time or money, and usually both. And time and money are two parts of the equation of return on investment. But
Right.
so you invest your money. The most obvious thing is you invest your money, let's say, in a piece of real estate.
Hmm.
You invest your money in a stock. You invest your money in a 401k, whatever, your idea of investing is. But that's not in order to get the financial return from that. Hopefully it goes up in value, maybe it produces some dividends, whatever the case is, but you're investing that money hoping that is going to give you some more money in the future. But another type of investing is investing in your health, for example, like you and I talked about. And between my husband and me, we easily spend $1,000 a month just on supplements
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
occasional IVs and things. But
Yep.
because even though we eat completely organic, whole foods, clean foods, buy our foods from the farm, the local farm and everything else, we live in very toxic environments. Even though we
Yeah.
drink clean water and I have my molecule air filter right here, it's
Hmm.
still like we're deficient. Our foods are deficient in minerals and vitamins and different things. So to be healthy today requires a real financial investment in the right food, in
Right.
supplements, I go to Upgrade Labs and get red light therapy and PEM therapy
Hmm.
and different things. But that's an investment in me. I'm parting with my money to invest in myself with the return being more energy, maybe a longer life, feeling better in my own skin, having been up, not like you run marathons, but be able to get and do my 4 mile run. So, but that the mindset is it's not an expense, it's an investment in me. And how much money do I allocate or kind of think about is going to be, I'm going to invest in me on an annualized basis, for example. But the thought process is it's a real investment. My body is a really important asset to take care of. So that we invest in our relationships,
Hmm.
mostly time, some money. But when it's like, okay, if I'm going to have a really great marriage that's a top 1% marriage, that I have to invest in that. I
Hmm.
have to invest in time and energy, and even when it's not convenient and the things. And the return is that if you're married to a good person, the return is going to be probably, you enjoy living in the same space behind four walls with your significant other and all the other benefits that come out of a really healthy relationship. And then invest in our personal growth and our knowledge. How you make more money, you create more value. How you create more value is have more knowledge and expertise. And how you create more knowledge and expertise is you have to always be learning.
Hmm.
And even though there's so much free information everywhere, this free information doesn't make you rich. So it's really
Right.
this mindset of investing in myself, like in my knowledge and my learning, investing in my business relationships. And that goes, I think, to circle back to where I started on that is the most successful people I know and who are doing, the best financially as far as I'm aware of. They are attending events all the time because it's an investment in those potential relationships, future deals, new learning, and it comes with a return. My biggest return comes from the new people I meet at the next event that I attend. And you and I met at an event. We met in a little mastermind.
Yeah.
And here we do business together and we're going to do this event together. And that came out of meeting face to face and getting to know each other. And here we are. Like this is a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's interesting to kind of see it because again, we just met each other like a year ago or so, right? But it's interesting how we've had similar paths. And it's also interesting, I mean, even when you described, you know, the foods you eat, the supplements you're taking, right? I kind of laugh because I'm like, yeah, that's about what we spend on supplements too. And then air filters, red light therapy, and everything else, like, yeah, got that. There's Tony Robbins says success leaves clues, right? There's a lot of clues. It's not saying that you should carbon copy what everybody does, but there is a thinking that's behind it. And that is why you have to surround yourself with the right people. So, so Christina, I mean, I know this event, I mean, this is great for anybody who wants to grow their business, grow their wealth, and also grow their health, right? What's the best way somebody can get more information on this, register for it? Because obviously it's in Park City, the perfect time of year, late September, which is like the most beautiful time of year, in my opinion, for Park City. And it's not crowded, which is what, unlike the winter times. What's the best way for people to find out more information on this?
Yeah, so um, we'll put a link. I think you'll put a link to it. It'll make it really easy down below. But just
Yeah.
Krisstina.com, we'll just go to the live website, and that's Krisstina is how you spell my name, Krisstina.com. So it's just a link to a website that I actually built myself. I'm pretty proud of. That gives all the details as far as the dates and the price. It's really super affordable. And the speakers who will be speaking at the event. But it's designed, the event theme is called longevity. And longevity, it is so everything you're gonna, when you come, you're gonna feel the theme there. So, but it's gonna be longevity of money. And Chris will be talking about longevity of money through using infinite banking, real estate investing, and other type investing, like how we can live to 120 and our money will live with us. So really the longevity of our money. And so we'll be having a lot of conversations about that. I'll be talking about real estate investing and how I was a single mom and didn't have a dollar to my name and bought my first investment property and how that's turned into a very nice eight-figure net worth. Being a single mom and raising kids and building a business and doing the things, I've still been able to do that. And then we're going to be talking about longevity of life and wellness. And what is the latest science? What are the truths? Where have we been bamboozled when it comes to our health and wellness and how that bad information is probably silently killing us or it's taking years off of our life. So I'm going to have some of the best leaders in the country who are leading this type of conversation. And then we're going to be just talking about longevity of relationships and marriage and friendships. And because these blue zones, what they found, like the blue zones where people live the longest, it's not the money.
Hmm.
It's clean food, clean water, and lots of love. So we're going to
Hmm.
be even talking about this place, like love and fulfillment, and how if we're just always chasing success and money, which success and money are important, but at the cost of this other side of life, we're actually missing it. And how to live life that is fully prosperous in alignment with financial wealth, physical wealth, and relational wealth.
I love it. Well, great. Everybody, we'll put the link in the show notes just for you guys to be able to get more information on that. But I know I'm excited to be there. I know many others will be there too. And it's going to be, and the nice thing is this can be more of an intimate group. Like you're only trying to get to about 50 tops and that's it. And you already have most of it already sold by this point. So definitely, if this feels like a calling for you, you've got to jump on it, right? That's the thing. Investments only, there's not like a scarcity. We always talk about abundance, but that being said, you know, abundance can only work so long as you work for it too. So you got to make sure you at least pull the trigger and take action on it. So again, links in the show notes. You guys can check that out. And Christina, always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'm so happy that you'll be speaking at the event. And I'll just close by saying to think about, I think we have about 10 seats left. It's going to be in a beautiful Park City home overlooking the mountains, really intimate, clean food, fully catered, beautiful space, high level conversations, it's like many times, we've been floating, we've been kind of swimming in a goldfish bowl. And this is going to be an aquarium with like the ocean fish that are multicolored and beautiful. So really in a totally different container and invest in yourself, invest and come and hang out with Chris and me and many others that are going to be having some really high level conversations. And I'll finally say that even though there's just going to be brilliant contributors and speakers talking about, longevity, the rule with my events is everybody leaves their superhero costume and cape at the door. So no matter how much success is in the room, it's going to feel like a family event where everybody's approachable, easy conversations. Nobody has to feel less than or more than anybody else. We're just going to have a really good time and spend 2.5 days elevating the consciousness of the whole room together.
Love it. So excited for this. And so, everybody, again, be sure to check that link, especially if you feel called to this, because I know for many of you, you probably do. And some of you will act while some of you will remain the same. So, let's break that out of that goldfish bowl and let's get into an aquarium. So, everybody, go and make it a wonderful and prosperous week. We'll see you later.